Just to give you the lie of the land in the group is that if Inter beat Victoria Pilsen
at San Siro.
At the San Siro next week, and look, we've seen Inter screw things up many times.
Yeah, in the
past.
Champions League. Yeah.
Then Barcelona are out. Barcelona are going to the Europa League. Equally, if Bayern Munich beat Barcelona, which is not
or even draw,
unthinkable.
Barca need 2 wins out of the last 2 games.
Then Barcelona are out. So it's definitely backs against the wall. And this is made all the more serious, of course, by the big gamble that they took. I mean, we said it, right? People said, they have to do the levers, blah, 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 yeah, whatever. Okay, lever this. Now you kind of have this nightmarish scenario where you could lose out anywhere from 60 to 80 million in revenue. They had budgeted to reach the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I know it's boring to some, but the reality is Barcelona did something unprecedented in the summer. Essentially, to make this very simple, between Barca Studios and the TV rights, they decided to get money now from investors and sell a chunk of their company, and they're going to pay it off against future income.
Yeah.
Now, Laporta sold it to everybody. Oh, this is necessary. This allows us to go and buy all these top players that we signed this summer, and this will create a virtuous cycle because, we're going to go and we're going to be good straight away, and that'll generate more revenue and blah blah blah. Now I was skeptical because to me the numbers didn't add up. I've said it all along. Others said, "Oh, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about." My concern was always Laporta is not a finance guy. Laporta is a lawyer. He's a politician. He's a leader. They do have finance people who make those projections. There's a number of Barcelona people, by the way, who were skeptical about this, who wanted to go more with organic growth. The reason I was against it, incidentally, is that there's only so many ways to drive revenue in football, right? You can increase your commercial revenue and your sponsorships and whatever if you're good. It wasn't really a problem for Barcelona. Barcelona is a massive brand, right? So, and we saw with Manchester United that once you reach a certain level, even though United haven't really been dominant for the last decade, that side of it hasn't really suffered.
No.
You can increase revenue by getting more prize money if you go further in the Champions League. And
if you win
of course,
more.
That's great if you win it all. But equally, you look at how Barcelona finished the season last year, and obviously you have to qualify for the Champions League. I don't think there's any question that Barcelona would qualify for the Champions League this season again, right?
Yeah.
They managed it last year with half a year of Koeman without the new signings. And even if, so you're gambling on, getting even more from the Champions League. They've budgeted for a quarterfinal. The difference between a quarterfinal and a semifinal, it can vary because the formula is really complicated. I'm not going to get into it, but, it's going to be like 15, 20 million. That's the difference between the two.
Yeah.
They said, we need to do this so that we can sell out the Camp Nou. Okay. Maybe. So you can charge more money. You make more money off the stadium. It's a big stadium. It's not always easy to fill. But again, you could also sell it through the excitement of Pedri and Gavi and Ansu Fati and whatever, plus some signings.
Yeah.
I think that's the road they should have taken. They made a calculated risk. And now you're facing a nightmare scenario.
Yes. And also, I think all this aspect is very important, and you're right. And this is the second year in a row, by the way, they will drop out to the Europa League. If not, let's be very clear on this. If they drop out to the Europa League, or maybe they could drop out straight into the Super League. Them and Juventus play each other, and they're the Super League winners. But it's your standing. This is Barcelona we're talking about. Despite all the financial problems, despite Messi leaving, this is Barcelona. Barcelona cannot not qualify 2 years in a row for the knockout stage of the Champions League. This should not happen. And I think that this will hurt them if it happens, as you said. Financially, of course, and the loss of revenues that they would get and all of that. But I think for their image, this is terrible. Because as well, like you rightly said now, everybody's going to remind everybody about all those levers, all the risk, all the gambles that they took in the summer, where they never thought this was going to happen. And we said from the beginning, this is a tricky group. But I think a lot of the optimistic fans were going to okay, but look at Inter, 4 defeats in the first 8 Serie A matches. They're not in good form. We should be okay. Bayern, no problem. They're the best. But after that second place is for us.
I mean, but I think, again, because Barcelona weren't top seeds, again, if you're talking about purely in the Champions League context, you've budgeted to reach the quarterfinals, but you knew you were going to get a 1 seed. You knew you were going to get a Barcelona.
You could have got Eintracht Frankfurt.
True, or you could have gotten Manchester City.
Yeah, true.
Right, and then you get a 2nd seed, and then you play Bayern or Manchester City in the round of 16, and you're not going to be favored. So it was always risky. A far more risky approach. I think that people realized.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.